Greetings to all viewers of Freedom TV channel. Thank you for being with us. This is our time, and here are the top news stories at this hour. I'm Yuri Kulinik in the studio. Hello? The number of people injured as a result of the Russian shelling in Zakarpattia region has risen to 15. According to the regional prosecutor's office, the explosion occurred at a factory after an attack with 2 Kalibr missiles. The strike was so powerful that the fire engulfed an area of almost 7,000 square meters. As Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy stated, the Russian army set another anti-record, targeting civilian infrastructure facilities and residential buildings.
The Russians carried out this strike as if nothing at all is changing. As if there are no efforts by the world to stop this war. There needs to be a response to this. There is still no signal from Moscow that they are truly willing to engage in substantive negotiations and end this war. Pressure is needed, strong sanctions, powerful tariffs. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
According to Ukrainian Foreign Ministry head Andriy Sybiha, the Russians struck an American company that manufactures electronics. According to him, this is a civilian facility with no connection whatsoever to defense or the military.
This is yet another Russian attack on American business in Ukraine, following the strikes on Boeing offices in Kiev earlier this year and other assaults. There is no military logic or necessity here, just terror against people, businesses, and everyday life in our country. That is why efforts aimed at forcing Russia to end the war are so critically important, and we once again reaffirm Ukraine's commitment to doing everything possible to bring peace closer. Andriy Sybiha, Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs, on social network X.
Russian occupiers shelled residential neighborhoods in Kherson with artillery. A man was killed, 5 people were injured, including 2 police officers. Information about the victims is being clarified. This was reported by the press service of the prosecutor's office. Together with the police, they are documenting the aftermath of the shelling to hold those responsible accountable. 1 person was killed and 3 more were injured as a result of a Russian combined attack on Lviv on the night of August 21st. First, the city was attacked by Russian drones, and then by missiles. Several dozen houses and cars were damaged. Our colleagues from Lviv have more on the aftermath of the Russian attack.
It was so bad that they blocked.
The door was blocked, and I couldn't get out. I couldn't open it and couldn't get out. The door handle was ripped off for the second time. Russian nighttime strikes on Lviv. Windows in the woman's apartment were blown out, and the front door was damaged.
I was very scared. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I didn't know what to do. It was really frightening. I was home alone. I lived by myself, and I hid between 2 walls. But after the next explosions, I ran to the basement. We clearly heard 3 explosions nearby.
And now Ludmila is recovering from the aftermath of the shelling for the second time. During one of the previous Russian attacks on July 12th, her house was also damaged. The woman had just repaired the windows and doors, but during this attack, the blast wave blew them out again.
We're kind of behind the house a bit, but the windows were blown out. As you can see, some of them were blown out. Some of the frames were just ripped out. They're open. And inside, cracks have appeared on the walls. There's a crack on the ceiling above. Everything is falling down. You know, it's just impossible already. It's like, of course, it just never ends, because as soon as everything is fixed, as soon as everything is back in place, as soon as we calm down, the same thing happens all over again.
In total, as a result of the overnight Russian attack, 26 houses were damaged. A number of administrative buildings were affected, as well as several businesses. More than 150 windows were blown out, and in one of our municipal kindergartens, about 30 windows were shattered. We are providing compensation. These are broken windows, broken doors. We will also be restoring the roof centrally. There are several houses here that have already been damaged 3 times by Russian attacks over the past year. Because of this, the residents of 11 apartments will have to be relocated. The city will provide temporary housing for all those affected. In addition, people are being promised compensation for renting housing during the restoration work. Yulia Bill, Vadim Dmitriev from Lviv for Freedom TV channel.
At night, Russian forces launched 614 targets at Ukraine. The Russians attacked with ballistic and aeroballistic missiles, cruise missiles, Shahid-type UAVs, and decoy drones. The attack was carried out from 5 directions at once, from the territory of the Russian Federation and temporarily occupied Crimea. Air defense shot down or suppressed by electronic warfare 31 missiles and 546 drones, according to the Air Force. Meanwhile, GUR fighters destroyed a Russian boat near the port in the temporarily occupied territory of Kherson region. A high-precision air-launched missile, guided by a drone's laser, which also recorded the successful destruction of the military vessel. All 5 members of the invaders' crew were eliminated. The Ukrainian cruise missile Flaminngo will soon enter mass production. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced this during a meeting with journalists. According to him, the number of missiles will increase by the end of the year, and serial production will begin in December of this year or at the start of 2026, provided that the tests are successful and sufficient funding is available. Zelenskyy emphasized that the Flaminngo missile is capable of striking targets at distances of up to 3,000 kilometers. It has a warhead weighing over a ton and is protected against electronic warfare measures. U.S. President Donald Trump has delegated Secretary of State Marco Rubio to negotiate with European leaders on security guarantees for Ukraine. The meeting is scheduled for today, August 21st, according to the New York Times. The publication notes that Rubio will have to balance Trump's statement that American missiles will not be deployed in Ukraine with the need to reassure President Volodymyr Zelenskyy of support in case dictator Putin violates a possible peace agreement and resumes aggression. U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense Eldridge Colby stated that the United States plans to play a minimal role in any security guarantees for Ukraine, so Europe will have to take on greater responsibility. According to Politico, the statement was made in response to questions from European military officials during a meeting led by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff the day before. But Ukraine is preparing a military component for the security guarantees. This was stated by the head of the president's office, Andriy Yermak. According to him, after his visit to Washington, he held a coordination call with national security advisors from Germany, Italy, France, the United Kingdom, Finland, as well as with representatives of the European Union and NATO. Yermak emphasized, everything must be concrete and effective in order to avoid repeating the mistakes of the Budapest Memorandum.
We are also developing a procedure for the necessary actions if Russia continues to prolong the war and disrupt agreements on bilateral and trilateral meetings of leaders. Ukraine is ready for any format of discussion about a fair end to the war, and we are grateful to President Trump, everyone in America, and everyone in Europe for their support. The Russians must take the appropriate steps or feel additional, truly painful consequences. Andriy Yermak, head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, on Telegram.